everyone. Happy Friday. We are here for our Friday night forum, and I'm so sorry to say that we won't be doing it in person.
Everyone. Happy Friday.
Oh no, we're having an echo back. You guys, this is the tail end of Mercury retrograde. Well, we're just going to flow with this, and I'm going to fix some things and look fun while we do it.
Oh no, we're having an echo back. You guys, this is the tail end.
It's probably annoying to hear me twice, right? All right. So hopefully that wasn't too much technical difficulties. So welcome to the Friday Night Forums here for New Visions Books and Gifts. If you are, of course, one of our amazing patrons who has been with us for the last going on 36 years this year, we appreciate you guys being very patient with us until we can do Friday Night Forums yet again in the physical location here in East York, Pennsylvania. I am going to introduce our guest here in a second, but as always with these Friday Night Forums, since we've been doing them online, I have been giving a little bit of an introduction if you have not ever been to New Visions, because I think it's very important. If you have not been visiting us, I think all of you have most of you have probably, but I want to make sure that you are aware of the differences between New Visions Books and Gifts and Firefly Hollow. New Visions Books and Gifts has been open since 1987, guys. This is, of course, we've been around for going on 36 years here. And it is in East York. We are a crystal shop, jewelry, candles, incense, cards, statuary, and more. And then Firefly Hollow Holistic Wellness Center is in South York, and we've been open since 2014, offering services, readings, massage, acupuncture, Reiki nutrition, and lots of classes and workshops. The reason why I'm differentiating these, of course, is because you may see me at New Visions Books and Gifts, but you may also see me at Firefly Hollow. And this is because we are very much partnered in community here and bringing holistic services and resources for your conscious living to you guys who need it out there. And so with always the Friday Night Forums, we used to meet at New Visions Books and Gifts every single Friday night at 7 p.m. And we'd have an amazing speaker or someone to showcase and teach us something amazing in our community. And we, of course, would take $5 donation at the door. $5 donations now will be able to be given via our PayPal, and I will share that link here in a little bit. And those donations will go to a holistic scholarship fund. So people in the area that need services, need classes, anything that they need that you're not able to afford. We're at $2,200. So we're looking to be at $3,000 before we launch this scholarship fund. So we're looking forward to doing that. So please remember, anything that you donate is lovely. We appreciate it, and it does go to a good cause. So I am really excited to introduce tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is Rickie Freedman, and she is the owner of ReikiSpace and Learning Place in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. She has been teaching Reiki and doing Reiki for the past 25 years, and she is certified in ReikiVoice, in Reiki Sound. She has a class that she offers for holistic business entrepreneurs, follow your heart and do it smart. She also is the creator of ReikiKids and a lot of other things that we'll be talking about. And the reason why I'm bringing her on tonight is Rickie and I, of course, have been close colleagues and pals, and we went out for lunch a few months ago, and we had a really just great conversation that we thought, we really need to share this information with you guys and in an authentic way. And both of us, authenticity and integrity, and even sharing our lives in a way that is vulnerable, open, and honest is deeply important to us and our values. So we decided we were going to do that tonight. But without further ado, I will bring on Miss Rickie Freedman. And both of us have our cats here tonight. So I will have to have her introduce the cats because we have both of them. She has 4, I have 4. So we'll be running in and out tonight. So welcome, Miss Rickie.
Wandering across the computer screen at any time. So bear with me with that.
Yeah, no worries. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you. Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So sorry about that weird beginning, right? Did you hear that echo? I thought, well, Mercury
Double your
retrograde is.
pleasure, double your fun.
I know, right? Right. Perfect. Perfect. So anyhow, I first really think that it's important for us to introduce Reiki. And I just think, again, you would be really the best person to introduce what it is, because some people who might be watching may have not even tried Reiki or experienced it before, or don't even know how to pronounce it, maybe.
Oh, yes. Very good. Yes. And also with a name like Rickie, everybody gets mixed up a lot of time. They go to say Rickie and they say Reiki. And my answer is it doesn't matter. It's all one and the same. The Reiki's the Rickie and the Rickie is the Reiki at this point. So when people come for a Reiki session, I would say that Reiki is a very gentle and very deeply relaxing hands-on healing, primarily for stress management, balance, and inner peace. And it is based on the science that everything alive is energy, including us. So what happens during your Reiki session is that your body, your system will draw whatever energy you need and release what is no longer serving you, all those old messages and such, so that you come to a better place of balance. And when we are in a better place of balance, our bodies can help us heal naturally, like we're all designed to do. So Reiki consists of very gentle, light, stationary touch. It's not manipulative like massage, and also balancing off your body in your energy field, because our energy radiates. That's how we feel and sense each other, and can sense the energy of a room sometimes for people who are sensitive. A lot of people can feel that even when I'm not touching them, and other people can become more sensitive to it over time. It's very holistic, head to toe, because sometimes where we experience what we call symptoms or issues isn't always the source. The source of it can be on the underlying mental, emotional stress level of things, or even the spiritual level. So Reiki works on all the levels of our being to help us be more balanced. So a session is a wonderful experience, and there is way more to Reiki than just the sessions. The sessions.
That's what we're here to talk about, too.
Cool.
That is exactly what we're here to talk about.
So Reiki becomes a way to be in the world, conscious of the energy of all your thoughts, words, attitudes, and emotions, and how that affects your own well-being and your immune system, how it affects each other, and how it affects the world as a whole. So that you go from sharing Reiki to being and living Reiki. Right.
So Reiki is a way of being, a way of radiating your now universal life force, because Reiki means universal life force. Correct, Rickie?
That's right. That's right. And so some people describe it as the high frequency energy that is all around us, whether you give that a name or you see that as the energy in nature that we all have the ability to connect with, that we can all bring into our being, and we can all share and radiate. You know, the Reiki, when you take a Reiki class, it's really about remembering that truth. It is part of who we are. We already are this energy, and we already have this energy.
And so I think for, again, those who have never tried Reiki before, I would love to just share a little bit about the practice of Reiki, what it looks like when you get a session.
Mhm.
And also, I think it would be important to touch on the benefits when you are really maybe seeking it out for a particular reason.
Mhm.
So share with us a little bit about that, Rickie.
Well, Reiki actually doesn't specifically treat illnesses, disease, body parts, right? It helps to balance your entire energetic system. It doesn't, there is one of the misconceptions is that, you know, that Reiki focuses on the chakras, right? And the chakras are the energy centers that we talk about in our Western culture. There's lots of different chakra systems throughout the world. But Reiki doesn't isolate specific areas like that. It helps to balance your entire being. So, people might come to Reiki with a specific pain. And in our hearts, we really want them to feel better, right? But sometimes pain, for example, can be a messenger. So let's say somebody is having an issue with their left knee, right? And so if the Reiki just took the pain away, they might not get the message that it's time to slow down and be patient, right? So the left side is our feminine side, about allowing and being patient and taking our time. And knees are about being flexible in our thoughts, attitudes, and emotions. So sometimes it's about bringing you what you need to hear and look at so that you can step forward in a healthy way. Now, we all have free will every step of the way. Sometimes we don't always do what we should, right? What we know we should. But sometimes, once the message is right there for you, it's a little harder to ignore. And so if you pay attention, then your body doesn't need to keep talking so loud, because our bodies are wonderful messengers. That being said, of course, Reiki is deeply relaxing. It helps support your immune system, which is wonderful during these challenging times that we've been through. And 90 some percent of doctors' visits are underlined by stress.
Yeah.
So, Reiki actually gets to the underlying mental, emotional source of the stress. It doesn't treat the symptoms, over time. Sometimes it can happen right away. You can see and feel a difference within an hour, which is amazing. I've seen that many, many times. And we can talk a little bit about that. And sometimes it's a process, layers and layers working through. Reiki meets you exactly where you are and will help you heal and release as you are ready. I don't get to decide any of that. I allow the process. I allow that flow. So my job in this is to do my own daily work to keep myself as clear as possible so that I can allow that energy to flow through me. It doesn't come from me, and I don't take anyone else's stuff on. That is not part of Reiki.
It's a really, really good point to make. I know when we were chatting a couple months ago, we were talking about these misconceptions that people have about Reiki. And of course, I had them too. Actually, I have, of course, on your bio, Rickie, for 25 years, you've been teaching Reiki. And I know that seems so crazy. The past 25 years has passed so quickly. I know that for me, I didn't learn Reiki until about 15 years ago. And the reason why I didn't is because I had misconceptions about what it was and what it wasn't.
Absolutely.
So one of the questions that we often get that we were talking about, and I'd love for you to continue this sentiment here, was what's the difference between Reiki and other energy modalities? And so for me, I had learned a lot of different energy modalities. I had been doing hands-on healing since I was a child. And of course, you have your kitty there. The first animals were the first patients of mine. They're my first clients.
They're very sensitive.
They are. And I love that people kind of are really skeptical of energy healing in general, but animals, placebo isn't really a thing that happens with animals. They know it, they sense it. So for me, I was very skeptical of Reiki because first, I didn't know a lot of really graded teachers who were practicing with such integrity and professionalism that you do. But I also thought, well, I already do this. Why would I want to go and learn and get these, what they call attunements in the traditional sessions when you get trained? So of course, with my curiosity, because I'm a very curious person, I explored all these different energy modalities before I got interested in Reiki. And just like any different style of music there is out there, Reiki to me was a different flavor and style of music, right? It has its own energy signature. It has its own, of course, steps and the I guess you could say dogma, but it's not necessarily dogma because it's not religious. But
Not at all.
that's one of the things that people think is the misconception because it's foreign. They think because it's Japanese in nature, we don't understand. And part of the thing we hear a lot is the Reiki master, that term master. They think it's like some sort of like ego thing, like my Reiki master. And it really means teacher.
Right. And that's a piece of paper, right? That is just a step on the journey, and it's a never ending journey, of continuing to, deepen your work, so to me, the biggest difference between Reiki and some other forms of energy work is the fact that you can stay very heart-centered and connected and never give away your personal energy and never have to take on anyone else's stuff. Now, that can only happen when you're doing your own work every day, especially for people who are sensitive, right? People who are empathic, who have that tendency very easily to tune into other people's energy and take it on their shoulders, which doesn't help anyone heal. So that's what I love about Reiki. And to me, the attunement process, and again, I can only share the truth as I know it because, other people might have different feelings about it. The attunement process is a process of remembering the truth of who we already are, right? Because energy is not talked about much in our Western culture. So we have to get back to what we knew as children, like you were saying, and being able to say, I am willing to be more of my true self in the world and let my inner light shine. And, that's a commitment to how you choose to be, be a healing presence, even if you never share a Reiki session. By doing this work and raising your personal vibration, which is the definition of healing, people feel that, right? It radiates and you become a healing presence, a light healing presence, a light in the world, right? And energy increases exponentially. So it's more than just 1 + 1 = 2. It gets bigger and more. And, that in my perception is how world healing happens.
Absolutely.
At some point, the light exceeds the less than light, and that switch flips. And, so when I teach, I have a very light and lighthearted style, but I take this work very serious. To me, this is very sacred work.
I think that is part of why we connect so much. We have this. I'm of course more of an intellectual than you're my feeling side. Like I definitely feel a lot. I'm an empath like yourself, but I always say that you're my yin to my yang. That Rickie and me are very, very complementary. And whenever Rickie's talking, in my listening, I'm hearing and feeling everything you're saying from like so many different ways. And I think that that's what Reiki is when you are being it. You're getting just listening to Rickie talk. And again, if you're out there and you're experiencing this, it's really important to share. You're getting an idea, an expression, an example of what living through this lighter being, this lighter version of yourself can look like, can feel like, can sound like, can act like, and be like. And that's what I think when I learned more about the Reiki principles and actually saw somebody living it. That was the difference. Candy Nicholson was one of my teachers, and she was one of the first people I saw actually living it. Because when you have this dedication to integrity, right, Rickie? And
Yeah,
you think,
absolutely.
okay, I'm going to go learn my stuff, my teachers and my fellow classmates. But then you see outside the classroom people being hateful and being challenged with life, which we all go through, and almost willingly choosing to turn the light off again after they're outside of the classroom or outside of the practitioner room,
Right.
being in everyday life. I was very confused at that. And I
Yeah,
thought,
I
wait
can
a minute,
understand that.
I feel that we have more of a responsibility here with the awareness that we've been given that life is more than just this physical third dimensional space. We've experienced it through giving Reiki. Our clients experience it through receiving Reiki. So I'd love to talk and hear more about that for you. What in particular really lit you up and got you on fire about the integrity in which you feel passionate about expressing this modality?
Gosh, there's so much to this answer and so much that I want to share. Well, I let me jump back. I really appreciate what you're saying about the yin and the yang,
Oh,
and
sure.
I feel that too. But one thing that we both bring to this that we have in common, I would say, is that we bring a very grounded approach to this work, right?
Yeah.
And that is really important to me. I'm not some new age, space age, out there woo woo kind of girl. I mean, I'm a physical therapist by background. I brought that left logical thinking training brain, and that's one of the things that I bring to this work, is that I can share this with any audience and make it and allow it to be meaningful and relatable. And that's really, really important to me. And so, yes, Reiki is a path of life, but it is above all a path of integrity. So that means to me, living by these Reiki healing principles doesn't mean that you have some kind of Pollyanna life or view, right? I mean, to me, I am more in integrity now than I've ever been in my life. I grew up the rose colored glasses girl with the best of intentions. So I see it all now. I allow myself to feel and experience every emotion, express it in a healthy way, and make a conscious choice to come back to the place of peace. Because to me, that is where my healing occurs, of course, but also that is where I can share Reiki from, live Reiki from, and be that healing presence. So it doesn't mean that I have some kind of easy breezy life. Believe
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I have not. And, I might get into a little of that story. I have been through the stuff of life.
Mm-hmm.
And, you asked what sparked me. Reiki has pretty much been almost a lifesaver for me. Not that I ever considered not living, right? But there's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between living and living with conscious intention, so that you can be a healing presence for others. And Reiki allowed me to make that choice. Really, the thing that I remember most about that is um, many years ago, I lost a child. He was 20 years old. And needless to say, life-changing event, right? And I had another son. I adopted two boys. They were only 11 weeks apart. So I had another son about the same age. And, he still needed my love and attention. And Reiki was already my almost full-time work at that point. So I needed to go back to work, even though I was still in a grieving place. And I remember stepping into my healing room. This was in Lewisburg before I moved to Harrisburg. And literally, those Reiki healing principles came right to my face and spoke to me. And they said, "Are you going to really live by this, or are these just words?" And I knew that I had a choice in that moment of how I would live the rest of my life. society would have condoned me living as a victim. Yeah, I lost a child. That's a dramatic event, right? But I knew that I needed to move forwards in a healthy way so that others could benefit from my experience and learning and growth. So I think, that was really a choice point for me. And I think we all have choice points at various points along the line. The details may be different, but that's the one that feels most memorable to me. And, when I moved here to Harrisburg in 2008, first of all, I was very clearly guided to come here. So there's purpose in that. But I instantaneously received the guidance that it was time to let go of the security blanket, which was my physical therapy work, and do this full time. And I listened. And in 2008, like you said, there really wasn't any talk about Reiki around. There were a few people that knew it, massage therapists that learned it, but nobody talked about it. Nobody had it for their main practice. And I basically moved to Harrisburg knowing one person. So there was a lot of education work, and, that continues, that education work to, dispel those misnotions that you're talking about and to share the truth of this powerful work that we all can access. So
I am just, I'm going to ask you a question that, of course, I think you probably have dealt with, but when we both are bringing forth modalities, not just Reiki, but I'm a medium as well, and we're, of course, in a conservative area of our state. Tell me about how you navigated and got your ego out of the way when it was scary. Because there have been some really scary times where I've had people straight to say to my face some things that are just not true based on just not knowing and having education or awareness.
Yes, and I heard all that, and there was a lot of discouragement around me, especially when I first moved to the area. But I trusted my guidance so much that even though I heard it and I can still repeat it, it was like the water on a duck's back. I literally was in total trust and faith, zero fear. I knew with every fiber of my being that this was going to work, despite other people's fears.
Absolutely.
Right? So
I feel like that's the most important thing we can do with this work. I feel like that's the most important thing that we can do with this work, but also in general, eradicating fears. And the most quickest way to eradicate fears is through self-awareness and self-illumination, which this modality is amazing for bringing the awareness. So when you're talking about doing this work, and of course, people out there, you're like, okay, I'm here to listen about Reiki. I want to learn about it. What's it like to get a Reiki session? But even if you get a Reiki session and you never learn Reiki for yourself, what, of course, I know we're both attempting to do in our sessions is to help people get in alignment with that energy in themselves. They can eventually present it in their everyday existence without having to come and get that session to turn it on, turn it up, connect with it, that type of thing. So Rickie, what are your, I guess, definitions of this work that we both do outside of the practitioner room that we can share with others?
Yeah. So for me, and for what I share with my students, of course, it's self-Reiki. Okay. It always starts with that. It's got to start with you. You've got to love yourself and fill yourself up first, so that when you choose to share, the energy can flow through you and you're not giving yourself away and becoming drained, burned out, and resentful. That's not part of Reiki. So self-Reiki every day, especially for people that are sensitive. I also have a practice of breath work. So we all breathe all the time, obviously, right? But when you breathe consciously and you connect to the source of that high frequency energy and you breathe that into your being, and you allow yourself to be filled up with light and love and healing energy. And you practice feeling that start to overflow and radiate from your entire being so that light leads your way in every atmosphere. And you just know with every fiber of your being that anything less than light, by the laws of physics, won't fit for you anymore. So it will either be healed by the light or will go away. So practicing building and radiating our light every day, bigger and brighter, so that people feel that. And I'll tell you, when people feel that, when you enter a space, it goes far beyond any words that you can share about it, right? Because what you ultimately want is for people to say, I want what she's got.
Yes.
And I have experienced that. Now, there's one more really important piece to this besides the self-healing, the breath work, building and radiating your light, and that is a daily grounding practice, right? This work is very opening and connecting, and a lot of sensitive people are really good at that part, right? They can float off into the ethers and meditate, but if you're not grounded, you are not going to be able to bring this forth into the world on a daily basis. The grounding current is the manifestation current. Inspiration, manifestation. So when you are balanced and you are grounded, you can have wonderful ideas, guidance, visions, and you can bring that forth into the world in a real, concrete, persistent, lasting way, so that you're not in and out and up and down and all over the place and starting a million projects but never finishing anything. All those are signs of not being grounded, and that is part of our practice as well.
Yeah. That's the work that, of course, is balance is, I think, a constant.
Absolutely.
It's a constant practice of counterbalancing. And I know, right? It is like, because I feel like sometimes the perception of balance is that it's stationary, like you always are perfectly, and it's not. It is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get your surfboards out, because
Yes.
it's never or very rarely like this, right?
And I think for people who are energy sensitive, of course, I'm an energy sensitive person and I work with energy sensitive people, and it's really a learning to ride those waves, surfing those waves, because energy sensitive folks are, oh my gosh, the astrology or the Schumann resonance, or there are solar flares, or the moon's full now, or something in the vibes is now messing up my day, or it's Mercury retrograde, or it's always something that is, you're tuned into the energy and the universal life energy, but you're not riding it. You're letting it, kind of crash you down. And I think that is,
you've got to do this from the inside out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. I think to be the dominant energy in a space, and not dominant where you're overpowering someone else, but where your energy is the center point, not someone else's energy. Because I think as energy sensitives, we tune in so much. We're aware of other people. We're easily emotionally affected by our spouse or our children and what their energy is doing. So when my definition of the work that you're expressing, Rickie, is all that, and in a very practical, grounding sense, that's really important to me. But I know that a lot of energy sensitives are not aware practically sometimes what grounding is, because we do that. Let's imagine we're a tree. Let's imagine we're going to ground our energy and visualize it, put it into the earth and all that. But that's still a psychic process. That's still a visual process. So I found a lot of highly sensitive people I work with, they're doing all that work, but their energy's still ungrounded, because most of the energy is up here. It's in it's in. And so what I started to teach people was to be aware of the physical surroundings, be aware of your legs, the gravity, your butt on the chair, like your physical body, getting out of the thinking
Yeah.
space. And I
Yeah.
think that grounding practice does include that visualization of grounding your energy into the
Yeah,
earth.
right.
And I think that also bring it into awareness of the third dimensional space.
Yeah, and get your shoes
Important.
and socks off and stand outside in the grass,
Yeah.
but with conscious intention of connecting to that earth energy with that grounding. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Intention
know
is
for me,
everything.
my work for the last 15 years is really Reiki has been transformational for that, because of course we can not only receive Reiki when we give sessions, where it's coming through us. So we can of course experience the benefits of that peace and that
I love
healing,
that.
which is like, it's like, wait a minute, we get to do this all day. We're in a
Yeah.
meditative state all day. It's so great. But also just being able to use it on myself has been, every day. I love that. And my cat, of course, love it. We were talking about that before the show. Rickie has 4 cats and I have 4 as well. And the gentleman sitting on my lap right now is 19 years old.
Mhm.
And whenever he gets a little funky, he gets stiff, I'll give him a little Reiki and he loves it. This is Mr. Vegas. He's my sweet boy, but he definitely enjoys Reiki. It's been a very great tool for others around me. But my favorite part of this work is the illumination, I'll call it, the illumination, the awareness of self. Because I think that when you're following the Reiki principles, it does force you to be conscious and live in that integrity of how do you look at a thought you might be having about yourself or others that might be in a space of fear that could come out as judgment or anger or whatever it is. And that's the one piece that I think has been the most healing, not just for myself, but for the clients that I work with in our community that we teach as Reiki teachers. How do we teach other people to move into empowerment instead of that victim space, that life happens through you, not to you?
Mhm.
And I think that's been the most empowering process of it. For me, practically too, this work is being really aware of what I'm eating, how much I'm drinking, drink for water. And I think that's a piece of the holistic healing world that we don't always look at. We're using a lot of times Reiki and energy healing, but we're not taking care of the physical body with enough sleep, with that stress relieving
That's self-love,
practices. Yeah.
all of that is part of the balance of who we are, and that's where, it's real. I find it also really, really important, especially for women, but for everyone. But we've had this old message that taking care of ourselves is selfish, right? Back when, the woman's job was to nurture and take care of everyone else. And then if there was a little time or energy left over, maybe they could do something for themselves, but they'd feel guilty about it, right? And some of that still carries over in our DNA now. So, I find it, that I have to always keep reinforcing the message that taking care of yourself, loving and nurturing yourself first is the least selfish thing you can do. Because when you are nurtured and filled up, then you can share from a healthy place. Otherwise, you give yourself away, and that's not good for anybody.
It's one thing to understand all these concepts that Rickie and I are talking about, especially that self-care isn't selfish. It's one thing to recognize it consciously and be aware and go, yeah, that's true. But it's another thing to actually practice it.
Yes.
That's the challenging part. And I know I feel very passionate about vulnerability and honesty. And I think a lot of times people in the public do view some of us practitioners as we're perfect, we're enlightened, we have everything we should. And I think that sharing that vulnerability and really some of the challenges that we, of course, are going through is really important to this work. Because if you put someone on a pedestal and you put your practitioner or a healer or a teacher or anybody, not even just in the healing world, I think you give away your power.
Yeah.
You're focusing on something outside of yourself instead of the light and the truth that comes from within you. And so I am going to share for myself, one of the things that I've been challenged with as a Reiki practitioner is patience.
Ah,
That's one of the things for me that is always an ongoing lesson for me. And I think it's part of my childlike nature that gets excited about things. And it's almost like that inner child, like, when's it gonna happen? But it should happen now. But so I think for me, it comes out in that way. But I feel like the presence of mind, the awareness, and utilizing Reiki for grounding too, like moving the energy through you has been really powerful because it builds up when you have excitement. When you're more aware of it, right, Rickie? You feel it building up in a certain area of your body instead of it flowing through and grounding into the earth. You'll feel energy get stuck or get stuffy. And I think that's something that has really been a very powerful tool. Being a practitioner, being able to, when I have a block, even in just relationships or financially or emotionally in my body, feeling it and then allowing Reiki to just move it through
that's
instead of it
exactly
just cycling and looping in a particular area of my body, whether it's physical pain or emotional stress. And I think
right.
that's been
And
very powerful.
yeah, that awareness is really, important. And Reiki, living the Reiki healing principles just reminds us to just keep coming back and be mindful, because we're spiritual beings, but we're all having a heck of a human experience, right? And so everybody gets knocked off the path left and right. That's just part of it. It's just that you know we we learn the contrast of how much better it feels when we're here than when we're here, right? So that we have the tools in our toolbox to bring ourselves back over and over and over again. And we choose to stay there a little bit longer and, a little bit more. But, it's a constant reminders every day. That's why we review those Reiki healing principles every day that remind us to be mindful, because all our power is in this moment. We don't know what's coming in the future, and that will just drain our energy. If we go over and over what's happened in the past, that drains our energy. We just bring it back moment by moment, breath by breath. And especially during some of these challenging times we've been through, and just the trust in that there's a divine order in things, right? I heard a great expression that says there is purpose in patience. Being patient isn't doing nothing, it's waiting and trusting in the perfect time and timing. And I've seen that express itself in very real ways in my own personal life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when you're talking about the challenging times, I know I have on our list of things to chat about was running a heart-centered practice, a heart-centered business during these challenging times. So I'm curious as far as tools for other people out there who maybe, it doesn't matter if you run your own business or not, but things that we struggled with and utilized through this past couple years, because of course it's been really challenging. And I'd love to hear what really brought up that, I call it the unconscious aspect of yourself that hasn't been looked at yet. That, oh my gosh, during 2020, what was my thing that came to the surface to go, oh, that can be released. That can be let go. That can be brought to the light and brought awareness to. What came up for you, and what was the resolution for you for
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So, when shutdown happened, it was like, okay, now what? Because my practice is an in-person hands-on practice for the most part, but the nature of energy reminded me that, there is no bounds for this, right? No time, no space. And so what happened is it pushed my growing edges for me, right? So I had been kind of knowing that I should, I don't like that word, start doing Facebook Lives and things like that so that people can, not just read about me and look at my website, but experience me. So
Yeah.
shutdown happened and I had to, right? So I took that deep breath and, I'm so conscious of, bringing a professional reputation to Reiki. So my, fear, if there was one with Facebook Live, is that anything and everything can happen when you're live, and boy, does it. I experienced it all,
Yeah.
but I pushed myself to do it. And I did that first one, and I took everyone through a guided self-healing practice, and I just radiated energy to help uplift, and people felt it so strongly. And I realized how much it was needed. And I said to myself, get yourself out of the way. This is not
Oh,
about you. You need to keep doing this. And I did. It also pushed me. I had started my Reiki Kids coloring activity manual that you had mentioned in the beginning, and I finished it during shutdown. And so, it really, there was a lot of positives that happened for me, even through these challenges. And, it was just important for me to stay connected. We couldn't, like you and I were talking before we got on the air, go out to networking meetings, but I needed to find new ways, that people could still feel the energy and we could still be together. I had
yeah.
Zoom parties and
Yes.
it really got my creativity flowing, and that's good. That's good.
Rickie, I feel like I said this before. We're kind of two souls traveling along parallel paths, experiencing similar things at similar times in our lives. Professionally, we've kind of talked about this before. Like we have a milestone, like that happened to you too, or you went through that too. So if you out there haven't called in your like spiritual soul group, like of people that are going through the similar things or milestones within a matter of months of each other, I feel like it's very, very healing and validating to just ask for that. Because Rickie, you have been one of those people. And I'm laughing as you shared that because we actually didn't talk about that at lunch. What you were experiencing when the shutdown happened was the fear coming up of having to get out of your own way and having to be seen in a way that you weren't used to, because as healers, we're kind of like, we let the healing work come through us. We don't want to be that center. We don't want people to confuse us with the healing work, right?
It's not about ego ever.
Exactly. And
Ever.
I felt so much of that as well in my own journey. That was what I had to overcome, because I've seen, unfortunately, the ego does come up, and it is a lesson for people. It is a lesson for all of us when it comes up and tries to get in the way or whatever. And I felt that I had seen a lot of people, there was all this scrambling, chaotic, fearful energy of, we have to make our businesses work. We have to put an online program out there now or do something. And a lot of people were coming from this insecure base of their energy in which they were trying to help. They were intentionally trying to help others. And I'm not saying this is anyone watching this, maybe is not you, but there were certain people that I knew that. And I felt more, of course, connected with compassion of like, I see that they want to help the world, but they're not coming from a space of safety and security. It was fear, and I need to make money and feel, and I knew this was coming 10 years ago, not COVID, but I knew that something was coming, that not just Reiki, but metaphysical studies, spirituality, all the things that are considered the new age. I know there's not called that anymore. I don't even like being lumped into that category. I think that those are derogatory terms. Even the word psychic has now gotten a bad rap. I think that stuff, I knew it was going to become mainstream, and it was going to become a little bit shrouded. And I know that that's part of my connection with the integrity piece, knowing that it's so important. But getting out of my own way was really hard. It was so hard because I thought, I don't know if I want to put out anything or present anything. And you had time to finish your Reiki Kids manual.
Mhm.
And I had time to finally get my Mind Body Detox program up. And we've been running that since 2014. So it was like, it felt like it was time. And it really was important. But the other thing you shared that was really challenging for me, and how I used, of course, self-awareness and Reiki to really overcome that, was the lack of networking and connection. And I
Mhm.
think this goes for everyone out there during the shutdown, and even now too, seeing so many different types of people, even in your own home, in your life, that were not seeing eye to eye, that were having these different viewpoints on the world
Mm.
that sometimes were based out of practicality, based out of maybe fear from your own perception, because some people perceiving that someone was making an action or reaction or out of fear. And I think that that was the most challenging part for me. And, we're here to bring people together. You and I are natural networkers. We need people. We're about non-competition. Everyone has a place at the table.
Right.
And seeing this, not just in the business world, but also just at our families and people really being against each other and this polarization happening. For me, that was the biggest healing, I should say, that I had
Yeah.
using
I mean,
Reiki and
our
awareness.
closest relationships are probably our biggest tests.
Yeah.
It's easier, out there, right? But
Yeah.
when it's right in your physical presence, in your family, the
Mhm.
people that you love and care about, those are the most challenging situations. And those are the, relationships we learn the most from, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that that's one of the things that people think, that when you are on a path of spirituality and using Reiki in your life, or getting Reiki treatments done, or you're a student,
Mhm.
that those things are going to go away. And I think a lot of times those things are there to be cleared, to be brought, that
Right.
acceptance,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest thing. I think that was the unconscious awareness from my own self for the shutdown, was bringing awareness to how much discomfort happens when I feel a sense of separation, when someone doesn't see the perception that I see. And for us, I think we see this broad perception of, we're all together in this. It doesn't matter what we think or believe. It's how we express our energy. And I felt a sadness in seeing that separation. I felt that sadness that we were, and I felt like, oh my gosh, how am I going to connect with these people that I love? So what I learned from that was complete acceptance of where people are at.
Exactly.
It does not, everyone's on their own journey, and it's, if they're not going to be in your life anymore, then they're not supposed to be in your life at that time. There's different adventures to have. And of
Right.
course, grieving and the natural process that goes with that, you can't sweep that under the carpet and ignore it. But it does, when you learn to let go of that, it really moves new people into your life, new circumstances, and new chapters.
And
So
sometimes they find their way back over time.
yes.
It's just a different sense of balance to the relationship. It may not
Yeah.
be the same, but it doesn't mean it can't be good.
So speaking of new chapters, I would love to talk a little bit about Reiki Kids and the upcoming amazing event that you're going to be having. I'm very excited to share a little bit about this. Tell us about Reiki Kids. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I do too. My heart is totally, totally there. So I've been sharing Reiki with kids and teaching Reiki to kids for many years now. And a few years ago, maybe like 4 years ago, I went to Sedona, Arizona, very spiritual place. And I felt like the energy of my son who had passed came to me with this idea. So even though it was definitely a growing edge to consider myself an author of any kind, um, that was a great impetus to move forwards with this work. And so I created the Reiki Kids Coloring Activity Manual, which is basically the manual to my entire Reiki Kids class. It's the whole story. Um, and it's very unique. There's nothing like it out there. And so the kids in the Reiki Kids class can actually, color along and follow the activities, while we talk about, what's energy, what is their energy like, who are they in the world. We talk about the history. They learn everything that the adults do, but in child-friendly languaging. In addition, this coloring book can be used by parents, teachers, anyone who would like to share, Reiki with kids. They don't have to be Reiki attuned. They don't have to be Reiki teachers. I share a virtual workshop on how to use this coloring book page by page, to help a child. It's very simple. And, the grown-ups learn from it too. Yeah. So I'm very, very proud of it. And I really want to get it out to the world. And in fact, I'm very excited because I've shared this virtual workshop several times. And in this next one, I have a woman from the UK joining us. So it is getting out beyond our local area. And in fact, it's getting out way beyond our local area. And it's very, very exciting. So I'm looking, to me, if we learned as children to pay attention and manage our energy and to be more compassionate and grateful and mindful, I think that's going to change the world. So I love this idea, and I'm looking forward to continuing to get that out there bigger, more, and further. I believe in it.
There's so many children that come to us now that their parents are bringing us, that they're sensitive. They, are overwhelmed. They're, even they're very highly intuitive children. And I think that this is absolutely what they need. It's something that can be really easy to use. And I highly recommend you guys checking that out. I am going to share, of course, information for how to reach Rickie here after the next announcement. So stay tuned. I'll put that in the ticker here so you guys can see the website for that. But Rickie and I, of course, run practices. Yours is in Harrisburg, mine's in South York here in South York, Pennsylvania. And I'm so excited because you are finally kind of stepping into this venture of a collaborative, like we do here at Firefly Hollow. We're a collaborative collective of practitioners, and you are really jumping in. You are diving in with it. So
I am so excited about this,
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we have a few minutes yet? Because
I'm ready. Yes. No, we have plenty of time. Yeah.
Talk about patience. So, I manifested and created ReikiSpace Learning Place in 2013, totally using the energetic laws. And I created the vision. I put it down on a piece of paper. I shared it with a trusted friend. I sent it Reiki, and very, very quickly it manifested. And so I jump ahead. Just a few months ago, I was sharing a Facebook Live just talking about the law of attraction in action. So I shared that story of how I created ReikiSpace. And as I'm on Facebook Live saying the only difference between my vision and the reality I was sitting in, ReikiSpace and Learning Place, was that I envisioned 3 healing rooms, and ReikiSpace had 2 because of the location of the windows. And it hit me like a lightning bolt right in the middle of my sentence. Here, I was just in the process of opening a new room right down the hall from ReikiSpace. So talk about patience, right? It's not in my timing. It's not in our timing. It was in divine and perfect timing. So now I will have 3 healing spaces, and it needed to wait till now so that this idea was ready. So this room is called Enlighten, with the focus on the light, and we are Sweet 10, Enlighten. And what's going to be happening in this space is there are going to be healers, mediums, intuitives from all over the region, Lancaster, York, Gettysburg, West Shore, East Shore, and each one will be in the space for a day. And that day will repeat each month. So, Kara, if you were in there the first Mondays of the month, you would have the first Monday of every month. And so we are using that space for unique, elite, unusual services and sessions, everything from therapeutic harp music to Italian facial reflexology to Celtic tree astrology, really fun and interesting and unique. But the most important part of it, like you said, is bringing together people, right? It's a total cooperative, collaborative bringing together of community. And that just does my heart so good. I am very excited about it. We're going to have a big grand opening celebration if anybody wants to come out and play. Save the date, October 28th. So it's October 28th. You can come at 6:30 or 7:45. We're going to have tours, of course. You'll get to meet and hear all the practitioners so that you can see and feel who you connect with energetically. And there's going to be prizes and all kinds of fun. So yeah, it's really exciting. And the new room starts actual sessions on 11/1, which is a great date.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's amazing.
Yes, I love it.
So you have, again, on your website, you can learn more about all the different stuff, who the practitioners are. And I will say that one of the things that I find amazing about Rickie and is your level of integrity and who you choose to work with. That's really important to both of us. I know that we want to make sure that we're really offering the public some really great practitioners who are really in alignment and professional. And I think that's a really important thing. Right. So I think you can check out more of that stuff at ReikiByRickie.com. And that's the 28th. So that's coming up. The open house.
Yeah. That's very exciting. Yeah.
Great. We can't wait to talk more about it too, because the collaborative stuff is just amazing. What happens when you bring people together? And if you're out there and you are a client and you have been to a center where there's collaborative function there with services and practitioners, you feel the love when you enter into that space. You feel it. And it's something that when more people can come together, even as a practitioner, in a space where it's non-competitive, it's the more the better. We work smarter, not harder together and really support each other as a community. That just makes all more of the healing energy that they can present in whatever their craft or their modality is, all much more palpable and amazing. And I look forward to seeing more places really like Rickie and Firefly come together. There's another place downtown, Holistic Symmetry Collective. More of these places, of course, have these different flavors of the energy signature in which they present themselves and their brand. But it's all, of course, who you resonate with. That's why what Rickie said is go to that open house, because it's about who you connect with at that time. As a practitioner, we know that people are attracted to work with us based on who we are. It doesn't matter how many pieces of paper you have. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many PhDs and pieces of paper or trainings you have. Yeah. It, of course, is about professionalism, integrity, and your energy frequency and what you're really pulling into, what type of people you're looking to work with. So that's really important.
Yes, I've always said, people ask me about finding their Reiki practitioner, and I have always said that it's never about the number of pieces of paper on the wall. Right? It's about finding that person that you feel that sense of attraction, connection, because we are electromagnetic beings and we feel that, and safety and trust. And when you find that, you found your person, and you know it, you feel it. Otherwise, something just feels a little off, and it doesn't mean they're not a good practitioner or not a good person. They're just not the right fit for you in that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even if someone else, you have a friend that refers you, like, you have to go see so-and-so. They may be amazing, but again, their story of what they've gone through and what they've healed and what they walk that talk, of what they're doing in their healing modality. It may be different. I completely agree.
And you can never take it personally because it's not. It's not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely have gone through different healers that I work with privately, because taking care of yourself and self-love, getting practiced or worked on is really important to me. And I go through different people depending on where I'm at. And I think that's important to remember, that if you have a practitioner you've been working with for a long time, and you don't feel it anymore, there's nothing against that person. It doesn't mean that their Reiki doesn't work anymore. That's not like that. It's just a matter of a different frequency you're on. So Rickie, I would love to go into some questions. If we have any questions for people out there, I'm going to read what we got here. I'm not sure if you can see the comments here.
I see that there are comments.
Yes. So the one I'm looking at is, how do you come out of the closet? So that's really why I love that question, because really when we are practicing these modalities, it can be scary. Like I said, in this conservative area, how do we shine and show what we do?
Right. Well, it's a matter of you having so much comfort in who you are in the world and what you are sharing. And, then it becomes easy. You don't have to convince anybody of anything. You live it, you radiate it, you do your work. You can share it if people are curious. You can educate people, but you're not in a place of trying to convince anyone of anything. The whole world could benefit from Reiki, and there are many paths to the same source. And I really honor where people are. And so that's kind of how I view that.
Yeah. And it's a little bit easier too, if you have a solid group or one or two people that really fully accept you, who you are, and support you. And I think that's one of the things I see in our community of sensitive, spiritual, amazing people, that sometimes there's been some wounds with tribal connections, I call it, or community connections, or friends, and not having, like, even in family units, that having a healing through that and finding one or two people or a group of people that can fully back you and support you, that when you are ready to come out, and whatever that means for you, your authentic expression of yourself in Reiki or whatever, I think that that's really a helpful thing. So you have that.
You can do it in a way that feels integrity for you. I'm comfortable, doing public speaking and networking groups. Maybe you're more comfortable meeting someone one-on-one for lunch or coffee. There isn't one right way. You need to do it the way that honors your energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for that. Looks like we have a listener that was excited about the grounding explanation about the physical body. Yeah, I see a lot of healers and a lot of light workers and a lot of sensitive people. I see them like lightning rods without a grounding wire. They're amazing. They're getting all this high frequency universal energy coming into their body, but they don't have that grounding wire to kind of bring it into the ground and bring it into the earth. And if you can imagine all the light workers out there, if all of a sudden we put all of that energy into the earth, what's going to happen? That's why some people are like, but I'm going to ascend. We have to do the ascension and leave the body and ascend higher frequency. No, it's balance. Because what will happen is you put that energy into the earth, it ascends the earth. So I find that an interesting redirection of a different perception that I have. May not be truth for you, but it's truth for me.
And you can be connected and grounded. You don't have to pick. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we want. That's what balance is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think anytime you are, if you are in a session with someone, or you are a Reiki practitioner, if you ever are feeling drained or anything after, that should not be happening. And it's really seek some guidance with Rickie or another practitioner that you feel, a teacher that you feel and called to work with, to find out what might be going on and to assist you. Because I think that that's really common. A lot of people who are empaths or sensitive say, I can't be around this person, or every time I work on so-and-so, I get drained. And I'm like, what's going on here? That shouldn't be. And I understand that, because a lot of things could be going on there.
Right. And mostly it comes back to doing their self-work every day and having that grounding practice, because it's not part of Reiki
Mhm.
to, you can tune in and you can feel, right? But that doesn't mean you have to take it on, right? So, I'm a feeler by my intuition. And so first of all, the first step is distinguishing what's yours and what's not yours. That
Mhm.
takes a little practice in the beginning. And as I feel what's going on in the other person's body or emotions, I say within myself, thank you for that information. So I'm acknowledging that's what it is. I release it to the light to be healed. I'm not going to take it on. Thank you very much. It's not mine to hold, because it won't help anyone heal.
Yeah.
Helpful will be one thing, but we can't take away anyone else's lessons and personal growth. We hold the light and support that space.
Yeah. Yeah, the input mode versus output mode is what I call it, Rickie. You get on input mode to see what can I do, where can I help, and then you go, okay, and then you be that hollow bone and let the light flow through.
Mm-hmm. And you can
Yeah.
only do that when you're doing your own work every
Yes.
single day,
And I
right?
think the own work, the one thing you just mentioned too, that's really challenging for people is letting go of other people's choices and their free will to maybe not move in the direction of healing or make a decision that's not helpful or loving to themselves. You can't make that decision for them. I think as a healer, that's a big milestone. It's probably the ongoing lesson for us.
Yeah.
Is we have to let go. Anybody, if you're not a healer, like a loved one that they need to eat better, they need to stop smoking, you can't do it for them or make them.
I call it holding the light of possibility. So
Mm,
you hold that highest vibration in your hands, and when they are ready to make those shifts, it will be easier for them to do that. So, but you can't make anything happen. It's not your job. We don't barely know what's in our own highest good, let alone within somebody else's good. So the only thing I ever ask for is whatever's in the highest good. And that's not for me to decide. I
yeah,
just hold that light of highest possibility.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any other questions, you can put them out there now. I'm going to just, of course, share with you guys if you are looking to help us out and donate for our scholarship fund. It is paypal.me/donate/Firefly Hollow, FFH. I'm going to put that in the chat there so you guys can go to that link if you are interested. And Rickie, again, her open house for her grand opening for her new room, all these amazing practitioners. Please check out Reiki by Rickie. I'm going to actually put it in the chat because I want people to click on that link so it's a little bit easier for you guys to get there, because we know clicking is, and well, if you're on a phone, you're tapping it with your finger, right? I want you guys to check that out. And you, of course, can visit her Facebook page. Rickie is on Instagram, all the fun places. And here's one thing I think that also I will share. As a holistic business or any small business, of course, Rickie has a lot of amazing lives and things she does. Same with Firefly Hollow and New Visions. One of the things that a lot of people don't know unless they run a business is we're here to help, but sometimes we can't help because of Facebook algorithms and things really hide our information from people. Unless you tell the page you really like us, you want to see us. And how you can tell Facebook that is you can like and comment and share consistently. And then that Facebook algorithm will know, their little bots will know you want to see the content. And I think that's one big way you can support small businesses, no matter what it is. And also stay up to date with any of the upcoming stuff that Rickie has, or Firefly Hollow, or New Visions, or any other business in the area. So I make it a point to mention that because people don't understand that. Like, I didn't see you had this event. Well, we share it every day. Well, I didn't see your Facebook page. I follow it. Well, unless you comment and like and consistently do that and share, the bots don't think you really want to see it all the time. So that's another way you can really continue to stay in touch with these businesses that are awesome in our local area.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. Well, everyone, I hope you had a great time tonight for this Friday Night Forum. Rickie, thank you so much for joining us.
I love connecting with you at every opportunity, and I am
Yes.
very grateful for this one. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
And guys, I'm so looking forward to us doing this in person. I know that you can feel the energy from Rickie and I tonight. I'm really looking forward to having Rickie be center stage at one of the upcoming Friday night forums, and we're able to do that again in person at New Visions Books and Gifts, and some other events. But if you don't want to wait until the meantime, please go see her in Harrisburg, and visit them at the open house.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye.